Ceann Comhairle, I propose to take questions 7 to 9 together. Government departments are currently represented online by multiple distinct websites and platforms, each providing different visual styles and user experience. A government decision was taken in December 2017 to migrate all primary department websites to one single portal, gov.ie. This aligns with international best practice. Gov.ie has been developed with the citizen at its centre, with an emphasis on policy and service areas, as opposed to how a department is structured internally. Gov.ie will be the one trusted source which makes interactions with the Irish Government more citizen-focused and data-driven. Information is presented in a clear, intuitive, understandable and accessible manner. Gov.ie has been used to host many cross-government communications campaigns, including Healthy Ireland, Be Safe Online, Staunch Care, Project Ireland 2040 and information around Budget 2019. My own department was the first to migrate to gov.ie, with more to follow on a quarterly basis over the next 18 months. Therefore, our new web address is www.gov.ie/Taoiseach. The next departments to migrate across will be the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform, the Department of Finance, the Department of Rural and Community Development, and these departments are in the process of transitioning now. And all remaining departments will transition between now and the end of next year. Users of the Taoiseach.ie website were notified in mid-November 2018 that the information on the Taoiseach.ie website would be moving to the new central gov.ie website. The old Taoiseach.ie website was available until Friday the 22nd, but has since been archived in cooperation with the National Library of Ireland.
Deputy Martin.
You will remember that the report into the now disbanded marketing unit in your department demonstrated that the decision to move to a single state website is very far from being accepted best practice. In fact, the head of the marketing unit, who has now been transferred to the Department of Foreign Affairs, produced a report which looked at only 3 countries and produced no evidence to say that the public found it easier to access official information. The United Nations ranking for e-government, which was cited repeatedly as a reason for the promotion of a single site, actually gave a high ranking to certain states due to completely different factors. So, for example, access to broadband being the most important. In all of the controversy last year, one thing that did come out of the meagre research completed by the unit was the advice of other countries not to implement anything before first checking with the public what they want and in what form they want it. This was, of course, a piece of advice which was completely ignored. Before you proceed further, Taoiseach, with the single government portal idea, can you tell us what research has been undertaken to gauge what people actually want and whether they currently find it difficult to access information? And also, what is the status of the public opinion research which was contracted back in late 2017 and which we were told would involve consultation with the opposition leaders before it was carried out? That's been subject to many questions in here, and it just seemed to have disappeared into the ether. Yeah.
Now, Deputy Howland.
Thank you. I'm interested in the Taoiseach's assertion that the migration of all government department websites into a single government portal is international best practice. You might share with us the analysis that led you to that assertion, so we can look at best practice internationally and see the models that you're aiming to replicate here. I certainly am aware that there are difficulties in relation to finding specific data, since your own departmental website has been stood down and migrated into this new common government website. Because I think there is people who are looking for information. They want specific departmental information, and they'll want government structural information, and you want to be clear where they're looking. Can I ask you a couple of specific questions? What individual person has overall responsibility for this project? Who is leading this migration? Has there been an assigned budget line to this project? And if there has, how much in money terms has been allocated to this, and when will you expect it to be fully completed?
Deputy Mary Lou MacDonald.
Ceann Comhairle. So Taoiseach, you might share with us the evidence that migrating to a single website is the most effective and the most user-friendly manner to interact with the public. You might cite for us the evidence that this is actually what the public wants, for what it's worth. My own view is that discrete access points that are department specific, whether that's social welfare, whether that's enterprise, it strikes me have the best prospect of being user-friendly and easier to navigate than migrating all of the state and the departments onto one site for what it's worth. But that, of course, is just my hunch. I could be entirely wrong. I'm sure you're not operating on the basis of a hunch. So if we could have, if you could cite for us your source of evidence for this approach. And then, Taoiseach, how much is this costing?
Deputy Burton.
Just ask the Taoiseach, in the context of, I heard you say DPER is about to transfer to this system, and did I understand the Department of Finance, or does that come later?
No, it's part of this next one.
Yeah, because what I'm wondering about is what's happening to the revenue commissioners, because like the Department of Social Protection, the revenue commissioners really deal with vast amounts of personal data and personal queries that are individual to the person. And you know, that information is really important to people. The current changes that are being made, for instance, by the revenue commissioners into how small-scale employers, like somebody may be employing somebody like a childminder at their house or at the childminder's house, are generating massive requests for parents, very often the mum, to actually comply with huge amounts of new regulations. If you are actually saying that all of this detail, which is currently located quite properly with the revenue commissioners, and it's hard enough to get an answer out of them because it's very confused at the moment. Similarly with social welfare queries, as you and I both know, I just don't get it as to why everything should be under one roof when the nature of some queries like revenue and social welfare are so specific to the individuals that the individuals, citizens really need a trusted source that they can go to rather than some kind of PR outfit where they'll endlessly then have to keep going down from the senior elements and opening elements of the site into the parts of the site and the information system that they actually need.
I want to thank deputies for their questions and their interest in this matter. The project is actually being led by the Office of the Government's Chief Information Officer, the OGCIO, who's not in my department, so I only have a limited knowledge or role in this, and that largely relates to my own department's website migrating over to gov.ie. In terms of public opinion research, that's on ice. It's not a priority at present. It's not happening at present. Well, it's suspended. I think I announced it before, several months ago. To be honest, I'm not sure whether or not it's international best practice, but I'll dig out the evidence and provide it to deputies. But it does seem to me to be common sense to have a single website for a different organisation with different departments. You know, a lot of large organisations, RT for example, has different departments, and I don't think each department has its own website, and the same would apply to most organisations, that if a large organisation is broken down into different departments, they have a single website, but through that website you access the different departments within that organisation. The same might apply to a university, for example, and probably makes sense, particularly with mygov.ie being developed, and more people, I think about 250,000 people have their mygov.ie, and I imagine in a few years' time millions of people will have their mygov.ie and be able to use the same password and the same unique identifier to transact with government online for all sorts of different reasons and services. My understanding is that it applies, though, to departments and not to agencies, so it wouldn't apply to the Revenue Commissioners, but I may be mistaken on that. That's a government department. Yeah.
So that's going into the mix?
Yes. I don't have a figure. Not my department.
All right, question 10, Taoiseach. Question 10.
Yeah.
Question 10.
So then